What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, we've come to the end of another year. We've started 2022, and I hope everybody has a great year. Be safe, stay strong, and move forward. Now, of course, it is customary for everybody to do their top 10 of the year. Of course, I do mine on McFarlane's DC Multiverse because basically that's the main line that I collect. Aside from other things that catch my eye, this is the line that I mainly concentrate on, and that is because I am a completist. I must have every figure. I must have one in package and one to open, and sometimes I even go for the triple. But my amigos, we have had a great year with McFarlane. We've gotten tons of figures. My shelf is filled to the brim with action figures. I am going to have to start thinking about making some more room, some more shelf space, because we do know that there are tons of figures on the way this coming year, and I am more than happy to add them to my collection. Now, of course, this year was pretty strange. Everybody didn't get all the figures that they were supposed to get on time. So basically, this year I'm doing my top 10 based on the figures that I have had in hand. And also, one main thing, I basically base my list more on things that I enjoy, like value, presentation, and something I like, which is like posability, right? You get a figure in your hand and you just start posing them and you can't stop. Like every time you turn them, you see a new pose that you could put them in. Every time you turn them, something catches your eye and you just can't put the figure down. I mean, there's been times where I open a figure and I put them up on the shelf, and that is basically, the last time I touch them. But there's also been times where I open a figure, I review them, and for the next couple of days, I just keep going back and looking at them and seeing, having ideas about the little details that I could add, and then moving them, So that's basically what I base my list on, and I know everybody's different, but this is my list. You guys could have your own list. But all in all the figures I really can find something to enjoy in, and I really look forward to adding more figures to the collection. Now, there is going to be some honorable mentions. Besides my girl Harley, who now I do have 2 figures of the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn, one with her roller skates on and then one with her shoes. But these honorable mentions are more like figures that we should have had in hand to look at, and now sadly they'll probably have to go on next year's list. Basically, that is going to be for me Superboy Prime, a figure that I really wanted to get in hand and I just, didn't get it. So he's not going to be on the list. And then the Batman from the 3 Jokers was another one that I really wanted to get in hand before the list, but now we'll have to wait. And then the light up hazmat suit is another one that I wish we could have got in hand, just to see the different paint apps that it's going to have, and then the light up feature. And then finally the year 2 Batman based on the McFarlane artwork. We didn't get it. I do have mine pre-ordered, but they just didn't ship, so it is what it is. But I do have my top 10. Let's go ahead and start it off. First up, number 10 is going to be Lex Luthor in the Darkseid War armor and sitting in his throne. Now, basically for me, this was the whole package put together. Now, I really did enjoy him more than the regular power suit Lex Luthor, but when you add the throne in for the value, it's just, takes him over the top. He looks awesome in it. This is basically where, like, if you have this on your wall or displayed somewhere, people are going to look at it and be like, oh, that's really cool. and I really like it. I like moving him around. I did add him his little mother box there. Now, basically, the figure, it was a really good figure. It was based off the mold from the Power Suit Lex Luthor. Now, Power Suit Lex Luthor got extra hands and more paint apps, but this figure received the throne, which was an added value. But he is really awesome, has just a unique look that I really like having around, and he sits on his throne and looks pretty awesome. So that's my number 10 figure. Now, coming in at number 9, we have Hal Jordan. Now, this was released as the 2-pack with Dawnbreaker, and also it is based off the body mold from John Stewart. But honestly, I have to tell you, I am a John Stewart fan. I do enjoy him, but I kind of feel like if he's more popular or more iconic in the Justice League Unlimited TV show and not so much in the comics, like that's just how I feel. Like whenever I go back to Green Lantern from the comics, it's Hal Jordan. Plus the John Stewart, I had him. I messed around with him, and then I put him on the shelf, and I just never really went back to him. But for some reason, the Hal Jordan, I just keep going back to him. He looks so like heroic and stern. You move his head, and every time you move his head, you get a different, angle. I was able to give him a fist, and then I did add some details to the paint on him. But that doesn't add anything to the fact that either ways he's an awesome figure. When I think of Justice League, I think of Hal Jordan, and honestly, beautiful head sculpt. The color scheme just makes his suit pop a lot more than the John Stewart, and the white gloves are just an iconic thing for Hal Jordan. And he's just an awesome figure. And like I said before, you could put him in flight poses, you could stand him shooting his ring, and always he looks awesome. Never fails to impress, and that is my number 9 figure, Hal Jordan. Now coming in at number 8 is the Hazbat suited Batman. Now this is from the comics, from the Amazovirus, and really wish we could have got a look at the light up version since it does have some different paint apps. But that doesn't deter from this figure. This figure is awesome. Now, why would I pick him? And the reason is original sculpt. That's the name of the game. All original sculpt, all original accessories. And you could say he doesn't have any accessories. Well, actually, he does. Because besides the wrist panel, control panel that he also has this big tank. And then he has that face shield. So all these are actually considered accessories because a regular figure that's using another buck wouldn't have anything, and he's actually filled to the brim with unique, specific sculpt work that is to him. He has a pouch on his connected to his leg that has like little cylinders on it. I mean, just look at him. He's just an awesome figure. And when I look at him, it's the same thing. I put him in a pose, and I really like it. I put him looking up, and he looks great. And then I put him looking down or looking at his wrist control. And, it's just, he's an awesome figure for $20. I mean, I don't know how you could expect more from the sculpt work to the articulation that's surprisingly well on this figure. He's an awesome addition to the collection. And I love having him up there on the shelf. Now we just need to get to the light up version. Really takes you back and makes you think about how wide Batman's variety is of he could have different suits for different occasions. This is a great figure to add to the collection. Now coming in at number 7, we do have Blight from the Batman Beyond Futures End Wave. Now honestly, I could actually put all the figures from that wave on here because I love the Batman Beyond. He love me some Batman Beyond. I've always collected Batman Beyond, and he's fully articulated, nice slender sculpt work, wings, everything you want. The Shriek is an awesome stylized figure. Like I said, the whole wave could actually be here. But for the sculpt work and the attention to detail and the incorporation of like textures and the holes for the pins and just the way everything is worked into this figure. He has a dome that has a floating skull inside of it. I mean, this guy came with an alternate hand, but actually the dome, the headpiece, this hand that has like a ball of energy, all this stuff can actually be considered kind of like art accessories because they're specified for him. Plus the colors, the clear plastic use, the translucent plastic use. I mean, great figure to add to the collection. Really happy with him. Now let's just see in the future if we get other versions of him, but really can't say enough about him and the whole Batman Beyond wave. Awesome. Now coming in at number 6, we do have the Batman from Snyder Cut's Justice League. Now, it's the same thing. Besides the sculpt work, besides this awesome faux cape, the way it has texture and the way it's soft. Another thing I always take into consideration is just the posability and the fun you have with posing this guy. I mean, you could put him, throw in his batarang or just tons of ways you could use this guy. Every time you move his head, it just gives him a different look. I mean, of course, you also had the alternate heads. But in all honesty, this Batman could be considered and give a run for their money to any Batman. Even though he is more live action, he looks great. I mean, basically you're looking at something that could actually be worth more. It's right up there with a higher priced figure. But it's the same, a $20 figure. The fun factor, the presence that he has on the shelf is just unrivaled. And like I said, I like to put most of the Justice League figures on here, but this guy is the tops. He looks great, and he's the one that made the cut. So that's your number 6 figure, the tactical suit Batman from Justice League. Now coming in at number 5, we do have the Death Metal Batman and Bat Psycho combo. Now this is kind of weird because honestly, Death Metal Batman on his own, he looks cool, but I mean, there's nothing really special about him. A lot of sculpt work, a lot of attention to detail, but I mean, they gave us multiple versions, the one with the guitar. And then the bike, in all honesty, this bike is meant to go with him. So I mean, if I wanted to, I could have bought more of these, but I really only needed 2, one to keep in package and one for him to sit on. And I couldn't find any other reason to buy another one. So each one of these on its own, it is okay, but when you put them together, that's when you really get your value out of this. I've sent pictures of this to friends that they don't even collect figures or care about it, but they're like, "What? You're gonna give it to me?" Or what? I'm like, "No, I'm just showing it to you." And they're like, "Oh, that's pretty badass." So I mean, awesome presents for this guy. Awesome, and then you go back to the same thing. You're getting this at a value. Look at the sculpt work. Look at the detail. I mean, it's just great. And I mean, something that we don't really talk about McFarlane a lot is the different, textures and the different kinds of plastics. You go from rubber to hard plastic to soft pleather. I mean, it's just all over the place. And that's something, that we take for granted, that we don't really take into consideration when we're talking about what McFarlane's doing and what he's bringing to the table. But this is a great combo here. Looks great wherever you put it. And it's an awesome part of my collection. Now coming in at number 4, we do have the Joker from the 3 Jokers wave. This is just exactly what I'm talking about. The sculpt work, the attention to detail. The paint is light, but it is where it's needed. And another thing about this guy is the same thing. he's just so posable. Like you could pose him one way and then come back and pose him a different way. He looks so sinister. I mean, he's just awesome. I mean, he's just hands down one of the better releases from McFarlane. Now, people were talking about how his articulation is restricted, and that sucks. I don't understand. This Joker, wherever you see him, he's not gonna be doing the splits or jumping off of buildings or none of that. He's gonna be, walking smoothly and stalking and pointing his gun. So I don't get. I mean, I get that it doesn't have articulation, but what do you need it for? Like what point does what advantage does it give you? I mean, he's in his coat. He looks great. This is some beautiful shelf candy that you put him on the shelf, and he just looks great. So I mean, that's why he's high up on the list. Even if he has flaws, but I just go back to him a lot, and I love to look at him, and that's why he's so high on the list. But that is your Joker at number 4. And now coming in at number 3, the main man, Lobo. Now I knew this guy was going to be high up there on the list, for the same reasons. You could just go back to him and keep moving him around. I know he doesn't have complete paint apps. There's a lot of paint missing, but you have to take into consideration all the sculpt work done, the size of him, all that goes into his cost. So you have to lose somewhere, and here it is with the paint apps. You did get that chain, the rubber chain, and then of course I added him a blaster and his stogie. So for me, this is definitely not a hard choice to put him up here at number 3. The posability, the size, the presence, he's just an awesome figure. Love having him in the collection. I can't wait to see if we actually get a space hog for him, which would actually be something to look forward to. But that's your number 3 figure, Lobo. My baby boy, King Shark, the gold label, and even if it was the Build-A-Figure, it'd be the same thing. Just a beautiful, beautiful example of what McFarlane can do. Now, he has the same thing. He's not perfect. He's missing, the articulation from the legs, but in all actuality, in the movie, he didn't really do the splits or the same thing. He wasn't really, moving a lot. So it's not something that deters for me. For him, he has articulation where he needs it, which is in his head, his arms, and I mean, this guy represents what a classic collect-to-build figure should be. Bulky, heavy, and intimidating. I just love this guy. The same thing. Could move him around all day, could mess with him all day, and that's why he's up here close to the top. Love this guy. Can't wait to actually do a bloody repaint on him. So love him. Love having him in the collection. I mean, this is something where you could look and say, would we ever get a King Shark figure from the Suicide Squad movie? No, but here it is. We have it in our hands. He's beautiful. He's deadly, and he's an awesome addition to the collection. And this, you got to take this from somebody who was never really a big live action figure collector. Like I just said, I just never got into it. I like comic book versions. That was like my main thing. But ever since McFarlane got the line and I went all in, now I've really come to appreciate the movie figure side of the collecting and really love him. So that's your runner-up, my baby boy King Shark. And now we get to numero uno. Has to be, I mean, there's nothing There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I talked him up so much in my review. I've seen so many people review him and not fully articulate him and just say, "Oh, he doesn't have articulation." When in all honesty, he has full head, arms, legs, waist articulation. He has it all. And that is Swamp Thing. The big boy Swamp Thing. I mean, this guy just, is everything that we want from McFarlane. The sculpt work, the paint. It is missing a little bit of paint, but not so much. I mean, there is a lot of paint on here. Plus the size. He's just what I really love about McFarlane right now. And that is all the detail we get. Sculpt work, paint, articulation, shelf presence. I mean, the whole package. This is it right here. This is only the beginning. We know that this is going to jump us off into bigger and better things. And since I opened this guy and reviewed him, I just love having him in the collection. Fully articulated, beautifully sculpted, and he's just a piece of action figure perfection. So anyways, guys, that's my list. I really wish, honestly, that I could put all all the figures on the list, but it was hard enough for me to do this. You guys make your own list and look forward to more figures coming this year from McFarlane. Keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.